Hi, this is Andy Bacon with the Bacon Group, and I did a seminar some time back for a fairly sizable crowd on how to solve homeowner problems and how to structure offers. Not everything fits a cash offer, and when you're first starting out, pretty much the only tool you have in your tool belt is how to make a cash offer. 70% of the ARV minus the repair cost is your MAO, or maximum allowable offer. That's pretty much what we what we learned from the investment clubs and the books we've read and just Googling online. But so we did a seminar where we covered some other ways to do things. And in that seminar, which I'm going to recreate in a series of 8 videos, I think, we talked about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 deals, although 8 and 9 were kind of the same deal, but they involved 2 different properties. So we talked about how the lead came in, what were the pieces of the lead, what was the information that we gathered, and how and why we made certain decisions to move forward. And I think these were pretty much all wholesale deals except for 3. 3 of these we kept, and I'll explain those. And then also what the profits were on each deal. And so just real quick to kind of pique your interest of where we're headed, I'm going to do them in order of profit. And those profits are 10K, 14K, 18.9K, 26K, 41K, 85K, 93K, 224K, and 262K. I know it sounds insane, but if you're in the business a while and you understand how to play some of this, there's some pretty big deals in front of you. Anyway, this is going to be video 1. So if you're watching in the future, you want to do these in order anyway. Okay, so let's just jump in. Enough of this chatter. Okay. The way that we look at our properties is you've got to find a deal. In other words, you have to get your phone to ring. And so in our business, our phone rings or email comes in, or we even get a text message. We capture everything. We capture all those leads in one area, the way we run our business. And then we have to process that lead. And then once we process it, we figure out which way we want to go. Then we have to negotiate it back with the seller again. And once we do a successful negotiation, we have to get it under contract. Once we're under contract, we look for a buyer. This is from a wholesaling aspect. And then we get a contract with that buyer, and then we head off into the closing. So those are the pieces. All these videos are going to concentrate on are only 2 aspects. Processing the lead, in other words, how to think, and negotiating, what we did to negotiate. All right? So let's get kicked off with the very first deal. Okay, this is a simple assignment. In other words, we signed a contract and assigned our contract to somebody else, apparently for $10,000. Okay, the lead came in on a squeeze page, which is a single page. It's not a full website. It's just when somebody Googles "sell my house fast," maybe they go to either your website or they go to a landing page. In this case, it was a landing page. Okay, so the details. Okay, mom was moving into assisted living without a drama. Okay, so talking to the seller, first off, they wanted to, the fellow's mother, who was early stages of dementia and was also quite elderly, had a live-in nurse with them taking care of her during the day. She was going to be headed to a doctor's kind of a checkup slash appointment, at which point she was not coming home. She was going to be relocated to a assisted living. That's the way it was coming down. He wanted the least amount of drama and the easiest way to make all this happen. In order to pay for the assisted living property, he had to put a deposit. There was going to be a 2-week gap between these 2 episodes happening. He was hoping to close in that 2-week gap, so he had the money for the assisted living place. And that was kind of the challenge for us. Okay, so the first thing is we don't want to alarm his mother by just showing up with a bunch of folks and this and that. So he called her, let her and the house nurse let them know that someone was coming by to just take a quick look at the basement and the furnace. And that was me. That's how we went to the property and just said, "Here, I'm here to look at the furnace. Your son called me and see if I would take a look." So that's how we did it. Okay. This deal, it took 9 conversations. I made 3 separate offers, and it took about 3 months. The fella I'm dealing with, if you're familiar with the Eagles rock band. There was a fellow named Joe Walsh. This guy was a spitting image of Joe Walsh. He was the craziest thing I ever saw. As soon as I met him, I went, oh my gosh, you look just like Joe Walsh. He goes, I get that a lot, which I thought was also kind of peculiar. But he's also acts like Joe Walsh back in Joe Walsh's crazy days. So there was a lot of crazy conversations. It was 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. I'll get back to you tomorrow and approve your offer. I wouldn't hear from him for 2 weeks. It was that type of deal. So the key to this deal is what I wanted to bring in was this was all about follow-up. Every time I said, listen, I'll call back on Tuesday and see where you're at, I called back on Tuesday. I didn't call back on Wednesday. I didn't call back on Thursday. I called back every single time when we said, we're very good at follow-up, and we get most of our deals based on follow-up, okay? The other problem this guy had, he didn't want anything. He just needed this all to just take place. So when we agreed to take the house, we also did a side agreement, and we bought a house full of furniture, had a big giant freezer in the basement, a pool table in the basement, a piano in the basement, and it even had a PT Cruiser in the garage with 28,000 miles on it. So I made a side agreement as me individually, and I bought the entire contents of the house and the PT Cruiser for, I think it was about $4,000. I think that's what the number was. Because sometimes you just never know what you're going to get. What it is, all I'm trying to do is solve this guy's problem. Every time he's got an issue, I say, hey, I can take care of that. That's what we did. So we actually sold the pool table, sold the piano, sold the freezer. We donated the entire contents of the house with all the furniture, I think, pretty much everything. I think our contractor picked up a few things, the guys that helped us clean it out. And then I sold the PT Cruiser to a good friend of ours, my wife and I's, who just recently totaled her car. So we sold her the PT Cruiser for like $5,000, a really screaming deal. Anyway, okay, so we started in the 200 range. I do remember that. I got him down to 185. Over the 3-month period and the 3 offers and all the conversations, we actually got him all the way down to 165. So we went under contract 165 and sold it for 175 pretty much the next day. And we were promoting this as an ARV, after repair value, of $240,000. Here's another little piece in there. I actually sold it to an ex-employee in a roundabout way, but we also had another buyer lined up, and here's how we found the other buyer who was lined up. On the MLS, we were doing some comps and realized that someone had just bought a property 6 stores down, roughly the exact same kind of property. So we contacted them and asked them if they wanted another one. They said yes. So we had a buyer in a backup position. This all took place in the first 12 to 16 hours is my guess. So it was a very quick sell. But anyway, that's just a simple assignment. We have it under contract, and we assigned our contract to the buyer for a 10,000 fee in which they see. Okay? That's the end of this one, and so we'll go to number 2 in just a moment.